The galaxy had only one absolute rule. Break it, and you vanished. No warnings. No bodies. No history. Then one day, a human warship broke it on purpose. For millions of years, space had borders that no one crossed. Not because of walls. Not because of weapons. But because of memory. Every advanced species knew the name the Null Reach, a region erased from star charts, surrounded by silent warning beacons and abandoned by time itself. Ships that drifted too close lost power. Crews lost their minds. Entire fleets disappeared without battle. The galaxy did not explore the Null Reach. The galaxy avoided it. Until humans arrived. The Terran Union had been part of galactic society for less than a century. Young. Loud. Curious. Dangerous in ways older species did not understand. Humans asked questions others stopped asking long ago. And when something went missing, humans did not let go. The exploration ship TUS Horizon Dawn vanished near the edge of the Null Reach. No distress signal. No debris. Just silence. The Galactic Assembly responded exactly as expected. It is forbidden. It is lost. Move on. Humanity did not. 3 days later, a single Terran warship translated into real space inside the Null Reach itself. Its name was Resolve. The moment it appeared, every long-range sensor across the galaxy screamed. Ancient beacons, older than most civilizations, activated for the first time in thousands of years. Messages burst across space in hundreds of languages, all carrying the same impossible truth. A human warship has entered forbidden space. On the bridge of the Resolve, Captain Arjun Hale stood perfectly still. He was not old by human standards. 41. Dark hair tied back. A scar ran from his jaw to his ear, earned long before he ever commanded a ship. His eyes were calm, but not gentle. He watched the void ahead twist and bend like a living thing. "This place doesn't like us," said Commander Lyra Chen quietly. "No," Hale replied. "It doesn't." The Null Reach was wrong. Stars flickered where they should burn steady. Distance meant nothing. Sensors contradicted each other. Space folded in ways that hurt the mind to observe. Lieutenant RAO at Science swallowed hard. "Captain, physics is unstable here. Our readings don't match any known models." "Are we still alive?" Hale asked. "Yes, sir." "Then we proceed." The Resolve moved forward. Across the galaxy, panic spread. On council worlds older than Earth itself, leaders gathered in emergency sessions. Species who had not activated their militaries in tens of thousands of years suddenly began powering weapons meant only for extinction-level threats. Because they remembered. They remembered why the Null Reach was sealed. Elder Archivist Kale of the Ithari spoke with a shaking voice. "The humans do not know what sleeps there." "They were warned," another counselor hissed. "They never listen," said a third. Kale's eyes dimmed. "If they wake it, there will be no borders left to hide behind." Back aboard the Resolve, the crew felt the weight of history pressing against their hull. Communications officer Samira Voss turned from her console, pale. "Captain, we're receiving transmissions. Thousands of them. Aliens. Councils. Militaries. What do they want?" Hale asked. "They want to know if we're insane." Hale allowed himself a small, cold smile. "Tell them the truth." "What truth?" "That we don't abandon our own." The Horizon Dawn had 112 souls aboard. Scientists. Engineers. Families who believed exploration was worth the risk. Humans who trusted that someone would come for them if things went wrong. Hale intended to prove them right. Sensors finally found something. A signal, weak, distorted, but unmistakably human. The Horizon Dawn's emergency beacon. Lieutenant RAO's voice trembled. "It's coming from deep inside the Reach. Near a mass, something big." The main display shifted. A world appeared. Black. Light-eating. Surrounded by wreckage. Thousands of ships drifted around it, alien designs spanning entire epochs. Warships. Colony vessels. Things humanity had no names for. All dead. All silent. Commander Chen whispered, "That's not a graveyard." Hale nodded slowly. "That's a warning." The beacon pulsed again. "Human. Alive. Set course," Hale ordered. "All hands to readiness." "Captain," Chen said carefully, "if the stories are true, whatever is down there ended civilizations." Hale's eyes never left the dark planet. Then it's about to meet a species that refuses to stay dead. As the resolve descended toward the impossible world, something ancient stirred beneath its surface. For the first time in 12,000 years. It felt human minds approaching. And it was curious. The black planet filled the view screen. It did not spin. It did not shine. It simply existed, heavy, silent, and wrong. Captain Arjun Hale felt it pressing against his thoughts like a distant headache. Not pain. Not fear. Something worse. Attention. "Orbital insertion in 30 seconds, Commander Lyra Chen reported. The Resolve shuddered as its engines adjusted. Gravity behaved strangely here, pulling at the ship in uneven waves, as if the planet itself were breathing. Lieutenant Arrow wiped sweat from his forehead. "Captain, long-range scans are failing. Short-range scans contradict each other. The planet's mass doesn't match its size." "Meaning?" Hale asked. RAO swallowed. "Meaning it shouldn't exist." The Resolve slipped into orbit. Below them stretched a surface of endless black stone, cracked by enormous geometric scars. No oceans. No clouds. No visible life. But scattered across the equatorial region were structures, vast, angular shapes rising from the ground like frozen screams. They were not ruins. They were intact. "Artificial," RAO said softly. "And older than anything we've ever recorded." Samira Voss leaned closer to her screen. "Captain, I'm detecting movement. Not biological. Energy fluctuations." Hale's jaw tightened. "Defense systems." "Online," Chen replied. "But I don't like this. This place feels like it's watching us." Before Hale could answer, alarms blared. "Multiple contacts," Tactical shouted. "Emerging from the surface." The screen filled with shapes pulling free from the planet itself. Ships, but not ships as humans understood them. They unfolded rather than launched. Smooth, black constructs with no visible engines, no weapons, no heat signatures. Ghosts made of metal and shadow. "Are they hostile?" Hale demanded. "I don't know," Tactical replied. "They're not locking weapons. They're just positioning themselves." The alien vessels formed a wide ring around the Resolve, maintaining distance, silent and still. Then every screen flickered. A signal forced its way through. Not sound. Not images. A thought. Several crew members gasped. One cried out and clutched his head. Hale felt it too, a pressure behind his eyes, a presence brushing against his mind like cold fingers. A voice echoed inside the bridge. "You do not belong here." Chen staggered but stayed upright. "Captain, that wasn't a transmission." "I know," Hale said through clenched teeth. "Respond." "How do you talk to something that's inside your head?" Hale closed his eyes. And thought back. "We are here for our people." Silence followed. Then the presence shifted, curious now. "Your kind always comes for its own." RAO stared at Hale. "Captain," it answered. The voice returned, heavier this time. "They came before you. All of them. They failed." Images flooded the crew's minds. Armadas. Empires. Godlike machines. All arriving with fear. All attacking. All dying. The presence radiated something close to satisfaction. "This world is a cage. I am its keeper." Hale steadied himself. "Where is the horizon dawn?" The pause felt deliberate. Alive. Below. Relief washed over the bridge, followed immediately by dread. Chen whispered, "Captain, if this thing is the jailer, What's the prisoner? The presence answered before Hale could. Me. The temperature dropped. Crew members shivered as the meaning settled in. You're imprisoned here, Hale said carefully. Contained. Fed. Kept asleep. By who? Another pause. By those who feared what I would become. Arao's voice shook. Captain, neural readings across the crew are spiking. Prolonged exposure could cause permanent damage. Hale didn't break eye contact with the planet. We're not staying long. You will fail like the others. Maybe, Hale replied. But we're still coming. The alien constructs slowly pulled back, opening a path toward the surface. Proceed. The landing zone lay near the largest structure, a colossal ring embedded into the planet's crust, covered in symbols that hurt to look at directly. The Resolve's dropship detached and descended. Hale led the away team himself. If his people were alive down there, he would be the one to face whatever guarded them. The moment their boots touched the ground, the pressure intensified. Dr. Elena Ruiz, the ship's neurospecialist, stumbled. Captain, this place amplifies thought. Fear. Memory. Can you shield us? Temporarily, she said, activating a device. But not forever. The structure loomed ahead, its entrance yawning open like a mouth. Inside, the air shimmered. Lights flickered on as they stepped through, illuminating a vast chamber filled with technology beyond comprehension. And there, huddled behind makeshift barriers, were humans. Survivors. Thin. Exhausted. But alive. One of them looked up and froze. Is that a Terran uniform? A voice whispered. Hale removed his helmet. We came for you. The sound that followed was not cheering. It was sobbing. Captain Myra Cade of the Horizon Dawn stepped forward, tears streaking her face. We thought no one would come. Hale shook his head. We always come. Cade's expression darkened. You shouldn't have. Before Hale could ask why, the structure trembled. The presence surged, angrier now. You have taken what is mine. The walls pulsed with light. RAO shouted over comms, Captain, the planet's energy levels are rising. Something is activating, something massive. Hale looked at the survivors, then back at the alien machine. No, he said quietly. You don't own them. All who enter are part of the balance. Hale stepped forward, his voice steady, human. Then your balance is broken. For the first time. The presence hesitated. And across the galaxy, ancient sensors screamed again, because something long imprisoned had just encountered a species that did not accept its place in the universe. Captain Arjun Hale had expected gunfire. He had expected drones, traps, ancient cannons waking from long sleep. He had not expected the enemy to speak inside his skull like it owned the space behind his eyes. The survivors of the Horizon Dawn clung to each other in the strange chamber, their faces hollow with exhaustion. They looked like people who had been living inside a nightmare and had finally stopped believing morning would ever come. Captain Myra Cade was the first to recover from the shock of seeing Hale in person. She grabbed his sleeve with trembling fingers. Don't argue with it, she whispered. It learns you when you answer. Hale kept his voice low. What is it? Cade's eyes flickered to the walls. The air itself felt alive, humming with thought. We called it the Keeper, she said. Because it guards the cage. But that name is a joke. It's not a guard. It's a hunger with a brain. Behind Hale, Dr. Elena Ruiz activated another pulse from her neural stabilizer. A soft blue field shimmered across the team, and for a moment the pressure eased. Captain, Ruiz said, forcing calm into her voice, it's pushing emotional patterns into our minds. Fear. Doubt. Grief. If we let it control our feelings, it controls our decisions. Hale nodded once. Then we don't let it. The structure shook again. Dust fell in slow motion as gravity stuttered. Outside, the black planet's surface pulsed with faint light, like an eye opening deeper beneath the crust. Lieutenant Arao's voice crackled through the comms in Hale's ear. Captain, the planet is drawing power from the wrecked fleets in orbit. Those dead ships, They're being used like batteries. Hale's jaw tightened. Can we lift off? A pause. If we try, it may pull us back. The gravity field is changing. It's adapting. The presence returned, thicker now, less curious and more certain. You belong to this place now. Several survivors flinched. One man covered his ears as if that could help. Hale felt the words strike his mind and try to plant roots. He pushed back, slow and controlled. We are leaving. A soft, almost amused sensation spread through the chamber. All who enter feed the balance. Hale's eyes drifted to the far wall, where strange symbols crawled along the metal like living ink. There were marks in human hands too, scratches, notes, desperate diagrams. Cade followed his gaze. We tried everything, she said. Math. Logic. Code. Nothing works. It doesn't fight you like an army. It waits. It makes you tired. It makes you accept. Hale looked at her. How did you survive 3 months? Cade exhaled, ashamed and proud at the same time. Because humans are stubborn. And because we found something. She led him deeper into the structure, past corridors that bent in ways that made Hale's stomach twist. The architecture wasn't built for human bodies or human eyes. It felt like walking through a thought instead of a building. They reached a sealed door, half melted as if someone had forced it open with a plasma cutter and sheer desperation. Inside was a smaller chamber, darker, quieter. In the center sat a device like a broken crown made of black crystal and pale metal. Wires, alien and human-made, ran from it into a cluster of Terran equipment. Generators, signal amplifiers, and a battered console filled with handwritten labels. Ruiz stepped closer, eyes wide. This isn't Concord tech. This is older. Cade nodded. We didn't build it. We found it. And when we powered it up, the pressure got weaker. For the first time, we could sleep. Hale's mind raced. A shield. A filter, Cade corrected. It doesn't block the Keeper. It changes what we broadcast into its reach. Hale turned slowly to face her. Broadcast. Cade swallowed. Captain. I think it feeds on minds. Not bodies. Not heat. Minds. Awareness. Emotion. It doesn't want our flesh. It wants our signal. The words fit too well. The dead fleets outside. No battle damage. No hull breaches. Crews dead at their stations, minds drained clean. A weapon that didn't kill you with fire. A weapon that turned your thoughts into fuel. Ruiz's voice sharpened. If it feeds on awareness, then fear is a feast. Panic is a banquet. Hale stared at the device. So what does this crown do? Cade's lips parted, hesitant. It makes us boring. Hale blinked. Boring. She nodded quickly, like she'd had to explain this 100 times to people who didn't want to hear it. When the device runs, it smooths our mental patterns. It dampens strong emotion. It makes our minds feel like static. Like background noise. The Keeper can't taste us as clearly. RAO spoke in Hale's ear, urgent. Captain, this is insane, but I'm seeing the same thing on our scans. The neural field around your position changes when that device activates. It's like your brainwaves flatten. Hale looked at Ruiz. Is it safe? Ruiz grimaced. Safer than letting that thing rewrite us. But long term, it could numb people. Change who they are. Cade's eyes flashed. Better numb than dead. The structure shook again, harder. The walls groaned like a living creature waking from surgery. The presence returned, now sharp with anger. You hide. You dim yourselves. You deny me. Hale's vision blurred for a second. He saw something that wasn't there. A childhood memory. His mother's face. Her hands shaking as she said goodbye before his first deployment. Then the memory twisted. Her face fell away like wet paper, revealing an empty skull beneath. Hale's stomach lurched. He recognized the attack for what it was. Not a vision. A test. A hook. He forced his breathing steady and stepped between his crew and the survivors. Ruiz, he said calmly, can you tune that device? Ruiz hesitated. I can try. But we don't understand it. Then we learn fast, Hale replied. Humanity's best skill is making tools out of things we don't understand. Cade stared at him. You're not thinking of fighting it. I'm thinking of stealing its food. Ruiz's hands moved over the Terran console, checking the settings Cade's team had already discovered. Numbers flickered. Waveforms danced. Hale leaned closer. Can we do more than dampen? He asked. Can we change what it receives? Ruiz's eyes narrowed. Like a false signal. Like bait, Hale said. Cade's face went pale. If you get its attention, real attention, it will crush you. Hale looked at the survivors, then at the silent crown. You've been surviving by dimming yourselves, he said. That's brave. But it's not enough to escape. We need it distracted. We need it looking at something else while we lift off. Areo's voice crackled again. Captain, the orbiting wrecks are lighting up. It's pulling power faster. If it finishes charging whatever it's charging, we may never leave. Hale felt the crew watching him. Fear in their eyes. Hope under it. He remembered why humans terrified older species. Not their weapons. Their refusal. Their ability to look at a wall and decide it was only a door waiting to be opened. He turned to Ruiz. Can you generate a pattern it can't resist? Ruiz stared at the readouts, then slowly nodded. Strong emotion pulls it, she said. Curiosity. Defiance. Hope. Those spikes are bright. Hale's mouth tightened into something that wasn't quite a smile. Then we give it the brightest thing we have. Cade grabbed his arm. Captain. Hale cut her off gently. We don't abandon our own. And we don't kneel to monsters. He tapped his comm. Chen, he said, voice steady, prep the dropship. As soon as Ruiz gives the signal, we move. Fast. Acknowledged, Chen replied, her tone tight. Captain, be careful. Hale looked up as the walls pulsed again. The presence pressed in, furious now, hungry. Your light will feed me. Hale closed his eyes for half a second. Then he opened them and spoke aloud, not just in thought. No, he said. And for the first time since humanity entered the null reach, the thing behind the planet hesitated, because it had never met a species that would stare into a mind-eating darkness and choose to shine anyway. The device began to hum. Not loudly, not violently, but with a steady, deliberate tone, like a heart choosing to beat faster. Dr. Elena Ruiz's hands moved with controlled urgency across the console. Sweat traced slow lines down her temples as numbers shifted into unfamiliar patterns. I'm rewriting the output, she said. Not blocking emotion. Not dampening it. Captain Arjun Hale stood perfectly still beside her. Then what are we doing? Ruiz swallowed. We're shaping it. The chamber trembled again. Far above them, something vast moved within the planet's crust. Not a creature in the way humans understood, but an awareness adjusting its attention. The Keeper was listening. Captain Myra Cade felt it instantly. The pressure returned, sharper than before, like fingers digging into her thoughts. It knows, she whispered. You've caught its eye. Hale nodded once. Good. Ruiz finished the sequence and stepped back. Captain, once this goes live, it won't just feel us. It'll see us. Every spike. Every thought we push through. Hale looked at the survivors gathered behind him. People who had lived for months inside a nightmare designed to erase them. This is your choice, he said clearly. We can keep hiding and hope it lets us leave. Or we can show it exactly who we are. No one spoke. Then a young engineer stepped forward. Her uniform was torn. Her hands shook, but her eyes were steady. It took my fear first, she said quietly. Then my sleep. Then my memories. She clenched her fists. It doesn't get my hope. Others nodded. One by one, survivors stepped closer to the device. Cade exhaled slowly. "You're insane," she said to Hale. "Probably," he replied. "But we're not empty." Ruiz activated the device. The hum deepened. And suddenly, space screamed. Not audibly. Mentally. The Keeper recoiled as something unfamiliar flooded its senses. Not panic. Not submission. Defiance. Human minds surged outward, not as chaos, but as pattern. Memories of Earth. Of blue skies and rain. Of laughter in cramped ships. Of stubborn joy in impossible places. Hale felt it like fire in his chest. The presence surged back, furious. "You burn too bright. You damage the balance." "Good," Hale said aloud. The chamber lights flared. Symbols on the walls fractured, lines breaking apart like shattered glass. Outside, orbiting wrecks shuddered. Several ancient ships cracked apart, their stored energy ripped free too quickly. Lieutenant Ario's voice burst through the comms. "Captain, the planet's neural field is destabilizing. Whatever you're doing, it's hurting it." Ruiz stared at the readings, stunned. It doesn't know how to process this. Human emotional patterns aren't efficient. They're noisy, contradictory. Hale understood. The Keeper fed on clean signals, on orderly minds, on species that had learned to suppress extremes. Humans were none of those things. They loved too fiercely, hoped too loudly, refused to settle into silence. The Keeper struck back. Several survivors collapsed, screaming as false memories flooded their minds, visions of failure, loss, extinction. Hale stepped forward, grounding himself. "Look at me," he shouted. "Stay here. This is real." He grabbed Cade's shoulder as she staggered. "We don't run inward. We anchor outward." Ruiz shouted, "Captain, the device can amplify one emotional frequency at a time. If we focus." "On what?" Hale demanded. Ruiz looked at the survivors. "Choose." The answer came instantly. Hope. Not blind hope. The stubborn kind. The kind that builds shelters in ruins. The kind that keeps sending rescue missions no one approves. The kind that refuses to accept that the universe gets the final word. Ruiz locked the frequency. The effect was immediate. The pressure shattered like glass. The Keeper screamed, not in pain, but in confusion. "This is not feeding. This is poison." "Then choke on it," Hale said. Outside, the alien constructs faltered. Some froze. Others collapsed back into the planet's surface as control slipped. Commander Chen's voice cut through the chaos. "Captain, dropship ready. We have a window, but it's closing fast." Hale turned to the survivors. "Move. Now." They ran. As the last human crossed the threshold of the dropship bay, the planet convulsed. Cracks split the surface, leaking cold light from something impossibly deep. The presence lashed out one final time. "You cannot kill me." Hale paused at the ramp. "I know," he said calmly. "But we can starve you." He hit the control. The dropship launched. Behind them, the device shattered, overloaded by its own output. The human signal cut off abruptly. Silence slammed back into the chamber. The Keeper roared in fury. But it was weaker now. Hungry. As the dropship raced toward orbit, the Resolve's engines flared at maximum burn. Ario's voice shook with disbelief. "Captain, the gravity field is collapsing. It's losing control." Chen didn't hesitate. "Pulling us out now." The Resolve tore free from orbit just as the black planet's surface sealed itself again, wounded, dimmer, quieter. Across the galaxy, sensors detected the impossible. The null reach stabilized. For the first time in 12,000 years. It felt empty. On the bridge of the Resolve, exhausted crew members stared at the stars as real space reasserted itself. They had escaped. But Hale knew the truth. This wasn't an ending. It was a beginning. Because the galaxy had just learned something terrifying. Forbidden space could be entered. Ancient horrors could be resisted. And humanity was not quiet enough to be consumed. The moment the Resolve exited the null reach, the galaxy changed. Not slowly. Not quietly. Instantly. Across thousands of systems, ancient monitoring arrays, devices older than recorded history, updated their status for the first time in 12,000 years. Null reach, breached. Containment, degraded. Threat status, unknown. On worlds that had not known fear in generations, alarms rang. The Galactic Assembly reconvened in emergency session, this time with more representatives than ever before. Species that once considered humanity a curiosity now watched Terran data feeds in stunned silence. A human warship had entered forbidden space, returned, and brought survivors with it. Ambassador Kale of the Ithari stared at the projection of Captain Arjun Hale standing on the Resolve's bridge, blooded, exhausted, alive. "They should not exist," Kale whispered. "They do," replied another counselor. "And they didn't just survive. They changed the rules." On the Resolve, the atmosphere was quiet, not from fear, but exhaustion. Med teams moved through the corridors, helping survivors from the Horizon Dawn stabilize. Some would need years to fully recover. Some never would. But they were alive. Captain Myra Cade sat on a medical cot, wrapped in a thermal blanket. Hale stood nearby, arms crossed, watching the stars drift past the viewport. "You realize what you did," she said softly. Hale didn't look away. "We rescued our people." "You wounded something ancient," Cade replied. "Something the galaxy built its entire caution around." Hale finally turned to her. "That thing fed on silence. On obedience. On species that accepted their place." He paused. "That's not us." Dr. Ruiz approached, holding a datapad. "Captain, preliminary analysis confirms it. The entity in the null reach isn't dead, but it's weakened. Severely." "Because of the device?" Hale asked. Ruiz shook her head. "Because of us. Human neural patterns don't stabilize the way others do. We don't suppress contradiction. We don't quiet fear, we argue with it. That makes us inefficient prey." Hale exhaled slowly. Across the galaxy, that realization spread like wildfire. Alien strategists revised doctrines older than their civilizations. Philosophers rewrote theories about consciousness. Military planners began asking a terrifying question. What happens if humans decide to fight us the same way they fought the darkness? Not everyone reacted with fear. Some reacted with hope. Messages began arriving, carefully worded, respectful, hesitant. Requests. For cooperation. For shared research. For joint expeditions. For protection. Because the galaxy understood something now. If another ancient horror stirred. If another forbidden zone awakened. Humanity would not look away. The Terran Union Council met in silence as Hale's full report played. No cheering. No celebration. Just quiet understanding of what had been revealed. At the end, the Secretary-General spoke one sentence. "We are no longer a minor species." Hale returned to the viewport later, alone. Stars burned calmly beyond the glass. Normal space. Honest space. But somewhere far behind them, deep in the dark, something starved. The Keeper, once fed by obedient minds, now drifted in hunger, confused by the absence of the loud, contradictory signals it could not digest. Humanity had not slain it. Humanity had done something far worse. They had proven it unnecessary. Hale allowed himself a small smile. The galaxy had tried to teach humans fear. Instead, it had taught them responsibility. And that terrified everyone else far more. Because now the universe knew the truth. When the darkness listens, humanity does not whisper. They answer.